Where did the Florida Gators improve the most from the first bye till now?
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Monday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And so the Florida Gators, I don't know how they did it other than intensifying their practices, but you look at the first 4 games of the season, and then you look at the middle 3 games of the season, because it was first 4 games by 3 games, and then they will have 5. And they took such a drastic turn in the best possible direction of getting better. And they improved in quite a few key areas, but one of the biggest improvements was their pass rush, right? Their pass rush started moving after the bye week. You look at, to start the year, the pass rush wasn't good against Miami. Pressure-wise, number-wise, they were fine. But when you take into account that so many of those pressures came on, hey, we're going to rush 3 or 4 play coverage, and eventually someone will get near Cam Ward, because that is how they picked up most of their pressures. It wasn't as if they went, we just won our rep, got through, and made a play. That was very rare against Miami. A lot of it came against, again, sitting in coverage and Cam Ward being perfectly patient to wait, and eventually someone would get near him, he'd start running, do whatever. Then Samford, of course, you did well rushing the passer against Samford. They're an FBS school, or FCS school. You're an FBS school. You're an SEC school. Makes sense. Texas A&M, they didn't throw the ball much, but when they did, Florida did not do a good job to rush the passer. And then Mississippi State did throw the ball a good bit, and Florida didn't do particularly great there either. Then you come back from the bye, and your pass rush is buzzing. UCF didn't throw the ball a ton, but you got a genuinely pretty good pass rush against them. Tennessee, there was one stretch where you got 3 sacks in a row against Tennessee. Your pass rush was working against Tennessee. And then Kentucky, your pass rush was working again for the most part, right? And you look at specific players' production in that time, and Tyreek Sapp had 7 pressures in the first 2 weeks, 1 pressure in the 2 games after that, and then he's had 5 pressures since then, most of which came against, or all of them came against UCF and Tennessee. And Tennessee specifically, he had a little stretch where he just wrecked. Whether or not he got a pressure, whether or not he did anything, he could have been, he shed the blocker of an offensive lineman, and then running back stepped up. But Tyreek Sapp picked up pressures, right? You look at the emergence of George Gums. I mean, George Gums has just been, I don't know how else to word this, but he's been operating on demon time lately. He had 2 pressures against UCF on only 7 rushes. He had 2 pressures against Tennessee on only 9 rushes, and he had 4 pressures against Kentucky on 4 rushes. So he picked up as a pass rusher productivity-wise. Caleb Banks was virtually non-existent as a pass rusher for the first month of the season. And then the UCF game, he kind of turned it on a little bit. Tennessee wasn't super productive, but I was fine with his output as a pass rusher against Tennessee. Again, production wasn't there, but he still played well. It just wasn't productive, as in he didn't pick up the pressures and the stats there. That's fine with me. I don't particularly get too focused on things like that if the film looks good. And then Kentucky, he had another 2 pressures. Film looked good. Production was there. Cameron James, virtually non-existent the first bit. He had a good game against Mississippi State, but then UCF, he had a pressure. Tennessee, he had 2. Kentucky, he had 1. It wasn't just that the pass rush started going with those pass rushers, though. It's that the pass rush plan got so much better introducing L.J. McCray into the fold, 5-star freshman. Introducing Sharif Denson more as a blitzer, which still isn't happening enough, in my opinion. I do think that he's really good at it for his position. Need to see more of that. Introducing Jaden Robinson as a blitzer. Jaden Robinson just snaps downhill. Grayson Howard, Pup Howard, also snaps downhill, gets going with it easily. Things like that. It just came together as a unit. And then we talk about the back 4, or back 5, I guess, with the secondary, right? And the secondary has been playing well. But part of what's helped them create takeaways is not just, oh, they're just playing aggressive blanket coverage. No, this is something where they're going to work in sync, right? Pass rush wasn't good before the bye week, before the first bye week. Florida had 3 takeaways in that time. Okay? Pass rush gets better. Florida has a takeaway against UCF, 2 against Tennessee, 3 against Kentucky alone. So in the Kentucky game, they matched their output from the entire season before the first bye. Part of that, yes, secondary's playing great. But a lot of that is also the pass rush has really started revving up and forcing quarterbacks to speed up their internal clock. Forcing quarterbacks to go, hey, I need to throw this ball now, right now, and trying to keep things moving. And so, yes, secondary's playing great. They deserve all the praise that they are getting, but the pass rush has played a huge impact in that, right? And I think everybody can agree with that. Pass rush kicked up, and all of a sudden, so did the takeaways, interceptions specifically, because I don't want to count, Tennessee, your fumble recovery was the botched handoff between Nico Iamaleava and Dylan Sampson. Sharif Denson had a pick. A lot of it was pass rush. And you could see when you when you get going as a pass rusher or as a pass rushing unit, it's tough to stop, especially when you know they're going to throw the football, which Billy Napier said it against Tennessee. He's like, hey, we want them throwing the football. Like we want them to be in a position where we know they're going to throw the football because we know our pass rush can get there. He didn't explain because we know the pass rush can get there and force mistakes, but he's like, we want them to be throwing the ball. There's a good reason for that. It's because he knew, hey, we can get after them and we can make some plays as a pass rusher. So whatever they did to whatever clicked with them mentally to go, hey, we should blitz these guys more. Hey, we should do this as a pass rush plan. Whatever they did that made them do that made them go, hey, let's improve the pass rush plan this way. It worked. And if you go back to the shows during that first bye week, you'll see me I'm pretty sure I did an entire show on you need to fix your pass rush plan because it's not working. And it's gotten significant. I'm not saying that I did that, but I'm saying that was a focal point. At the first bye, it was clearly your pass rush plan is not working. Not just, our guys aren't winning their battles. Our 4 aren't beating their 5. Because that's tough to do consistently, right? Is to just rush 4, drop 7, play good coverage, get after the quarterback, and just win your reps. But the pass rush plan was bad. Part of it is moving guys around so that, hey, we're still rushing this guy the same amount of times, but he's rushing from a different angle. And he's attacking a different gap. And that's how we're picking up that pressure. They've gotten a lot better as far as pass rush plan goes. And that's helped them create more turnovers. And it's working beautifully. And I do think that schematically, it's something that should carry over through the second bye. If not improve because you've got guys that are even more well-rested now. Because when you think about it, playing your first 4 games and then having a bye, there's not a ton of wear and tear from those first 4, right? And then playing 3 games and having a bye. Not a ton of wear and tear from those 3 games. So now you go, hey, we've got 5 games left. We can go and be even fresher and get this pass rush going even more than we had it going previously. And you can really, because again, you're going to need this pass rush, because even though you're going to be facing teams that probably going to want to run the ball, they might be up and looking to run the ball, they're still going to throw the ball, and you can still make them make mistakes. We are going to talk about one of the areas where Florida took a wild jump, where I really didn't think they'd improve in that area as much as they did. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Gators. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. Yesterday, profited by placing a live bet. Okay. It was Keon Coleman had 34 receiving yards on the first drive of the game, in the first quarter. I bet, hey, his line was 57.5. I bet over on that line because it seemed like he was going to go off. He ended up with 70-ish in a blowout win. Beautiful. Live betting, fantastic thing to do. I love it, especially when you're like, oh, he's just got that dog in him today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. So never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Team Ticker is a one-of-a-kind sports sign for college sports fans. You got one right behind me. There we go. We got our Florida Gators one, of course. There's quite a few other schools. I know our Michigan State host has one. Tennessee host has one. There's quite a few. Team Ticker is a 1.5 by 2 foot wall sign featuring the Florida Gators logo that has a cool retro-looking LED display. Right now, it's showing the top 25. Vanderbilt's on there. Florida's not. They might get there at some point, though. The display is updated daily with fresh content, such as the countdown to the next game, schedules, standings, like you can see on the screen right now. We've got the SEC standings. Super fun and a great way to stay connected with Florida Gator sports. All sports, by the way. Football, men's basketball, baseball, women's basketball, softball, women's soccer, everything that the Florida Gators do. It's right here. Each sign is officially licensed to meet high quality standards, and it's assembled by hand here in the U.S. So Team Ticker is the ultimate addition to your Florida Gators sports collection. Team Ticker is a one-of-a-kind sports sign. Go to teamticker.com. Use promo code LOCKEDON to receive $50 off your Team Ticker purchase. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. And I very much did not think that the Florida Gators tackling would improve the way that it did. By the way, you would know some of these stats and some of these thoughts if you're part of the Insider program, which the link's in the description below. We talk recruiting news, any coaching tidbits, any player tidbits. We go way more in depth on some things, right? That's what you get for being an insider. First 2 weeks are free, $5 a month after that. But the Florida Gators tackling is maybe the most impressive thing to me this season, or as their improvement this season, because it's one of those things where I've said, I don't truly think that tackling can improve as easily as some other things, because a lot of it is want to. But Florida took a very interesting approach to how they're going to improve their tackling, right? They just took the player out that had the most missed tackles, who, by the way, still has the most missed tackles on the team in DJ Douglas. He has played 21 snaps in the past 2 games. Just for comparative purposes, that's less than Jordan Castell has played in every game there. He's played in 61 snaps over the past 3 games that he's played in. But get this, he didn't play against Tennessee. He's played 21 snaps since the bye. It turns out when you take out the player that misses the most tackles and give a guy like Jaden Robinson more reps, which I'm not trying to just harp on Jaden Robinson as a guy that I was like, look, once he committed to Florida, I was a huge fan, but his snaps have increased. He's gotten better. He's played better, and he is a really, really good tackler. And so you look at a guy like that playing more, and unsurprisingly, your team gets better tackling. Guys like Justice Boone. Justice Boone has not missed a tackle this year. Desmond Watson has not missed a tackle this year. Derek Wingo has not missed a tackle this year. Joey Slackman hasn't missed a tackle this year. Mekhi Boyero, Kelby Collins, DeAndre Robinson haven't missed a tackle. Grayson Howard, Pop Howard has 1. Jaden Robinson has 1. Cam Jackson has 1. RJ Moten, 1. TJ Searcy, 1. Devin Moore, 1. So many of these players are at 1 missed tackle. You got rid of the guy that missed the most tackles. And that has helped your team improve significantly in stopping offenses. And that's been one of the huge parts of, we say, the pass rush getting going. A lot of that is because you're making tackles on early downs and forcing these teams into obvious passing situations. And then you get to pin your ears back, get after him, and make some stops, make some plays, get after the quarterback, force some turnovers, whatever it may be. But it's not just tackling against the run. It's also, you look at some of the games, like Miami had a few plays where they threw it kind of underneath and it led to a big catch and run. Those haven't happened as frequently when you're playing against Florida right now because of tackling improving so much. A lot of the guys that play the most snaps on the team have been really secure tacklers this year. Devin Moore has played the 4th most snaps on the team. And like I said, 1 missed tackle. Shamar James has 7 missed tackles, but his tackle percentage, one of the better ones on the team, as in his missed tackle percentage is lower. But yeah, he's got 7 missed tackles, but he's played, 300 and something, 340 snaps. His missed tackle percentage isn't that high. It could definitely get lower. I want to make that one clear. He's had some moments in some games where he hasn't been great, specifically the Mississippi State game. He was pretty bad. But outside of that, half of his missed tackles came against Mississippi State. He's had 2 missed tackles since the bye. DJ Douglas has 12 on the year. And again, he's not playing anymore because you took out the guy that's missing a ton of tackles. Triquez Bridges took his snaps for the most part. And Triquez Bridges, while he does have some missed tackles, one of your better tacklers on the team. He misses basically 1 a game since taking over a starting role. A lot of these guys have gotten better at tackling, but also you took out your worst tackler, and it's helped so much. I'm not trying to just harp on DJ Douglas. I'm just saying that's a good coaching change where, and by the way, it's something that Billy Napier hadn't done too much of earlier in his Florida Gators tenure, of just taking guys out when they're not playing well. Now they're doing that. Also, again, when we talk about defending the run, those first 4 games, I'll pull up the exact rushing numbers for the Florida Gators opponents during that time, because those first 4 games weren't awesome. Mississippi State game, again, was a team that ran for 90 yards or something like that against Toledo, and then 240 against Florida when they played. It was ugly. It was horrible run defense, horrible tackling after the catch. And Mississippi State was like, yeah, we'll throw screens and just make stops there. You look at what these teams did against Florida. Miami ran for 144 yards. Samford ran for 61, but of course, Samford and sacks count in this. Texas A&M ran for 310. Mississippi State ran for 240. Okay? Since the bye, UCF, which at the time was the number 2 rushing offense in the country, ran for 180 yards. Tennessee ran for 143. Kentucky ran for 144. That's obviously, those numbers in a vacuum don't mean much, but we can add some more context to that and give you a little bit better information there. Before the bye, so Miami, Samford included, which, by the way, Samford being included in this helps Florida a lot. So Miami, Samford, Texas A&M, and Mississippi State, Florida was allowing, on average, 4.2 yards per carry. Okay. So you look at, and again, that's, and in fact, we'll pull these up right now of taking the numbers without Samford in there, and we'll look at those. So yeah, when you take out the Samford game, which again is a FCS team, they had 694 yards. Miami, Texas A&M, Mississippi State combined ran for 694 yards on a total of 146 carries, which is just under 5 yards per carry. You go after the bye, and Florida's allowing 2.56 yards per carry. That's a massive drop-off. And here's the thing. You played arguably better rushing teams, even a yards per play basis. Miami had 7.7 yards per play. Texas A&M had 6.8 yards per play. Mississippi State had 5.3 yards per play. Central Florida, 4.4. Tennessee, 4.5. Kentucky, 4.5. And let's also add, Kentucky had a 45-yard bomb on a flea flicker, which means outside of that, they were 11 for 31 passing with 120 yards. Like, Florida's defense got significantly better, and a lot of that was defending the run, making these tackles against the run, forcing you into obvious passing situations, and then the pass rush, which was much improved, got even better. But also, when teams throw screens, you make the stop. This defense got a lot better at tackling after that first bye week. And it's not just the defense that got better, though. The offense also improved pretty significantly, I'd say. We'll talk about that next on Locked On Gators. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It's not just your teams. You can go ahead and see musicians. You can go see plays. You can go see anything you want. I've talked about it. I put my money where my mouth is, especially with GameTime, where I have seen this year on GameTime alone, June, which it's been 5 consecutive months now. June, six consecutive months. Because May, I went to go see the New York Mets play. Game didn't go well. They got no hit for the first 6 innings. So May, I went to go see the New York Mets play. June, I went to go see Anita perform. July, I went to go see Shabuzi perform. August, I went to go see Miami at Florida. September, I went to go see that Mexican OT. And then this past weekend, I went to go see Sueco perform. Awesome experience, by the way. First time in a mosh pit. Was a lot of fun. But GameTime, beautiful, okay? All-in pricing is the best. It shows you the total upfront, so you're not like, oh yeah, $80. Never mind $105, like right after. You don't have to worry about it. It just tells you the price. It's the best. You could take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? It's game time. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. And like I said, it's not just that the Florida Gators defense got better during that bye week. No, it's also the offense got better. Specifically, the offensive line got better. And I know that because I know someone's going to be in the comments talking about it and then I'm bringing it up where they go, how did the offensive line get better? The offense has given up more pressures in these 3 weeks than in the first 4, which you're not wrong. Okay. You're not wrong about that. But as everything, we will add context to it. A big part of why your offense has given up more pressures is the inclusion of DJ Lagway. Okay. Because don't forget, against Miami, DJ Lagway came in when it was blowout city already. And so he came in there. That was it. Samford, we could chalk. A&M, mostly Graham Mertz with a little bit of Lagway sprinkled in. Mississippi State, mostly Graham Mertz with a little bit of Lagway sprinkled in. UCF, mostly Graham Mertz with a little bit of Lagway sprinkled in. Then during the Tennessee game, Graham Mertz gets hurt. DJ Lagway comes in and plays the remainder of the game. Against Kentucky, DJ Lagway is the exclusive quarterback for the Florida Gators in that game. And again, by the way, this isn't a knock or a complaint or anything like that at all. It's simply looking at context when we talk about these things. And so, yes, pass blocking, there have been more pressures allowed in this second stretch of games. However, a large part of that is DJ Lagway. And again, not a knock on him. He looks for the deep ball more. When you look for the deep ball more, you're going to be waiting around more. And odds are you're going to get pressured more. Again, it's not a knock on him. It's just he tends to look for the deep ball, and that tends to leave him open to taking hits. That tends to leave him open to being in that area. Like you look at Graham Mertz, when he's kept clean, he throws the ball in 2.5 seconds. And when he's under pressure, it's because he has the ball for 3.5 seconds almost. Okay? He's pressured on 28% of his dropbacks. DJ Lagway also, but when DJ Lagway holds the ball, he's holding the ball for 4 seconds, a half second longer. And when he's kept clean, he's throwing the ball basically the same amount of time as Graham Mertz. But it's that when you see that and he's under pressure. Yeah, his average depth of target also climbs almost 6 yards when he's under pressure. Not because he's like, oh, I'm getting pressured, let me throw the ball deeper. No, it's because he's looking to throw the ball deeper. For comparative purposes, Graham Mertz throws the ball about 3 yards deeper when he's under pressure. A lot of it is that DJ Lagway is looking for the deep shot, and so he's being opened to more deep shots. Not a horrible thing, right? Like, I don't think to look at that and go, oh, he's just holding the ball too long. He's looking for a deep shot, and he's going to generate pressure that way. And when he's similar to talking about the Cam Ward against Miami pressures, right? Where it's like, oh, well, Cam was pressured 19 times, it says. But if you watch that game, he wasn't under pressure 19 times. It's that he would float around, someone would come in at him. DJ Lagway doesn't do it to that extent, and he doesn't do it as well as Cam Ward does, but there have been times where DJ Lagway is kind of, they're dropped back, he's looking around, he's waiting, and someone's coming in. Happens. But as just pure pass blocking as a unit, they've been better. Also, I would say this, Graham Mertz sometimes gets the ball out so fast that even if an offensive lineman loses a rep somewhat early, they don't get to him because he's throwing the ball quickly. And then run blocking has gotten better, particularly, which this is a bit of a testament to the offensive scheme, game plan, not even scheme, just the game planning where they're running what works, which again, that's a testament to Billy Napier improving this and going to what works. You look at the Kentucky game and it felt like a great relief because you look at the Kentucky game and Florida ran counter a bunch and they ran split zone a bunch. And it felt great to just watch Florida spam a couple play calls against Kentucky, considering Kentucky's done that for the past 2 years and LSU did it the year before. But it felt like a great relief to watch Florida spam the play calls that were working, which, again, testament to whatever they were doing game plan-wise. But a lot of counter, a lot of split zone versus Kentucky. You keep that up, your run game is going to keep getting better. And yes, part of it is because Jaden Ball is there and he's more explosive, and that Kentucky game specifically worked well there. But blocking also got better. I mean, if you go back to the Miami game, Florida had 140 rushing yards, 5 yards per carry, but 71 of those yards came on one Montreal run. It was ugly. All right, and running back production, as in Florida Gators running backs rushing only, so not running back production as in pass catching. But their rushing yards improved with it. It's improved over time. DJ Lagway opens things up, of course, but also the run blocking was simply better. Like, there were times against Tennessee where it was really rough, and Tennessee's got a good defensive front. That's something that I'll never take away from them. I do think they've got a really good defensive front. Against UCF, your offensive line just pummeled them. Simply as that. Most of your offensive linemen pummel them. Lee Hunter had a pretty good day against Florida there, but Florida's offensive line improved during that first bye week. And I do think that a lot of it comes down to they stopped rotating so much. I've said it 1,000 times and I'll die saying it. Offensive line play is more about their play as a unit and their chemistry as a unit than individual play. And so when you look at, well, now they're not rotating, so it's guys that are building chemistry playing next to each other. That matters on the offensive line a lot. And so when you stop the nonsensical rotations, you get better as a unit, more chemistry. It helps. It's like in basketball, when a lineup plays together more, they get better. Same thing with the offensive line play. When that lineup plays together more, they get better. And so stopping the whole, hey, Austin Barber's coming out every so often. Nonsense. You got better when you stopped doing that. Nonsense. Florida Gators should continue to get better as time goes on, as long as they stay healthy, which guard play still needs to improve. And I'm not even just talking about just Damian George. I don't think Najee Harris has played well so far this year either. So I think both guards have not been playing well. But guard play needs to improve, but it could improve with more chemistry. And so that's what we're looking forward to for the back 5 games of the schedule. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow to talk more Florida Gators football. It is Georgia Hate Week. To hell with Georgia. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I'll see you all next time.